Okay, students, this is the last video number 4 for exercise 4.3. So this one is you're gonna have to draw some information out of your Year 9 Maths or Year 10 Advanced Maths for this one. So for each of the following relations, write the following relation in the form x take a squared plus y take b squared equals r squared. Okay, let's see how we go with that. So here's the equation that we're going to look at. X squared plus 4x plus y squared take 2y equals negative 4. And we've got to turn that into that. And hopefully your brain pulled out from the recesses of your long-term memory and said, I can remember something that looks like that. That's the formula for perfect squares, which happens to be x squared plus 2ax plus a squared can be written as x plus a in brackets all squared, and x squared minus 2ax plus a squared equals x minus a in brackets all squared. And this, of course, looks like that and like that. So what we have to do, I'll get my pen and just write a few things here. We need to, there's the x squared plus 2ax just there. We need to add in the a squared term for that. And similarly, we've got a y squared take a minus 2ax there. We need to get the a squared term for that. So let's go ahead and start. So that's what I've done to start. If I said I've got to complete the square for those two terms using this formula, and for those two terms using this formula. So 4 is 2a, a is half of 4, and 4 squared, sorry, half of 4 is 2, and 2 squared is 4, so that should be a 4 in there. And half of negative 2 is negative 1, squared is positive 1, and that gives us that. So that's, we put a 4 in there, we put a 1 in there, and of course if you're going to add 4 to the left side, you've got to add it to the right side. If you're going to add 1 to the left side, you've got to add it to the right side. So all of that becomes that. All of that, also becomes that. And that just becomes negative 4 plus 4 is 0, plus 1 is 1. And there's the equation just there. Okay, so the center's at negative 2 and 1. The radius is 1. The domain, well, basically, if the x-coordinate of the center is negative 2 and the radius is 1, it gets as small as negative 3 and as big as negative 1, because that's 1 unit less than that and 1 unit bigger than that. And for the range, if the center is at y is equal to 1, then the smallest value is going to be 1 less than that, which is 0. And the biggest value of y is going to be 1 more than that, which is 2. And there is the answer. So once again, I suggest these questions, not too hard, but they do take a little bit of work. So my suggestion is you try one of the other ones. So they're all about the same. Maybe try B on your own and see how you go. Okay, this one here, I think this might just be a hint. I don't know if I'm going to give you the whole solution to that. I can't remember. Consider the relation, this is just going to be a hint. Consider the relation with the equation x take 3 in brackets all squared plus y plus 1 in brackets all squared equals 10. So that's going to be a circle. Determine the axes intercepts and then sketch the graph. So for this one, all I'm going to do is just remind you of how we find where it crosses the x and y axes. So stop the video, get an idea in your mind as to what you think the actual step has to be, not the mathematics, but just like in words, what you have to do first. And then check to see if you agree with what I've written down here. So to find the x-intercept, that means crossing the x-axis, y is equal to 0. So make y equal to 0 and solve the equation for x. And that'll give you the one or more x-intercepts. Because this is a circle, it might very well cross the x-axis more than once. For that matter, it might not cross the x-axis at all. That's also possible. And for the y-intercept, of course, anywhere on the y-axis, x equals 0. So make x equal to 0, solve the equation for y. And once again, you might get one answer, you might get two answers, and you might get 0 answers. So good luck with that question. And if you want to, you can go ahead and do parts A and C as well. And I think we have one more page to go, but once again, this is just going to be a bit of a hint. This is a complex, unfamiliar question, and I'd hate to spoil the pleasure of you solving this on your own. So I'm not going to give you too much advice for this one. So consider the functions g of x equals that. Okay, that does look a little bit like a semicircle, doesn't it? So that's a bit of a hint right there. H of x is that, p of x is equal to that. So using those three functions, construct a continuous piecewise function over the domain -4 and 8, including -4 and including 8. So you should have all of the mathematical tools inside your brain to do that. It's just a matter of putting them all together. So good luck. And my only hint is do this algebraically. You could probably do this using Desmos, but you're not going to have access to Desmos when you're doing your external exam on, so your exam on this later in the year. So do it using algebra, please. And that is the end of section 4.3, and therefore that is the end of the chapter. So do a fair number of questions out of the chapter on your own. Again, try some easier ones to start with, but don't forget to try some of the challenging ones as well. Okay, and good luck with all of that.